Thank you, Miklos. And I start with actually just reflecting very much on what's happened to me when I returned to the UK after an intense setup time at the Dead Web exhibition, and also being very much involved with thinking about what the crisis situation may mean in a human condition or for humanity. I return and there are the coronavirus, a crisis situation, and it's something which I've been envisioning while thinking about the Dead Web exhibition in the couple of months before I've been setting up. I've been seeing different kind of visualization of a crisis ecology, something which again I had to envision when I was writing all of the script for my Semiosphere installation, part of the Dead Web exhibition. And then I also just quickly went to the flight tracking system, which is very much representing a global world, a network society we created where China is now blank side, where is no flights anymore. And this is happening in an age of crisis. I've been asked to envision this, and I created a piece, Semiosphere, which is reflecting on the technological times and the network times and the network identity without technology. The piece is a low-tech solution, is not a fetishization of technology. It is much more stepping back from technology, but reflecting critically on technology. So I just will play one of the discussions happening in the helmets. The helmets are transportation devices. You're listening into conversation between people who just went through a crisis situation, exactly the same how the coronavirus crisis happening right now. We are transported in a future entity. It could be happening somewhere in China. Each of the helmets is transporting you to a waiting room where people waiting for the unknown, and this is a conversation between two persons.
Facts mean nothing now.
Convince a scientist about this.
What I mean is that you are what you believe.
Perhaps. I believe in facts. If we are looking for the ultimate truth, then facts are everything.
The epitome of objectivity.
I'm a scientist, so obliged to reproduce the same results over and over again. This is truth.
I admire that medicine fixes me, and engineering keeps me in the air, transporting to new places. Unthinkable before. But
difficult to disagree.
If I tell you about my near-death experience, happened to me just after the web disconnected, you will never know if I experienced life on the other side, or I just thought I...
Hard problem. Unaccusable for science. I see where you're coming from.
Science does not hold the ultimate answer.
Yet there was a shocking rise in denial of the facts in general.
People seem to believe in things that simply cannot be true.
I guess the world was a smaller place in many ways. It was easy to trust the network.
But it was the very place triggering the epidemic.
The perfect place to play out our hidden or not-so-hidden prejudices.
I guess it is just an amplifying glass.
The unknown knowns. We know, but we choose to ignore. The network just amplified who we are.
A false society develops wrong technologies. We may just have gone full cycle.
And obviously one of my point was artists working with technology very intensely to arrive to a point that for society develops wrong technologies. So is potentially there is a reflective aspect of technology which is very much part of it, who we are. And all of the helmets in a way capturing these dimensions, which for me was interesting to arrive to a point that I'm using a narrative sculptural system without any interaction, but still, for me, it was absolutely important to understand what interaction does, technological interaction, and then go back to the more analog way of participation in my work. So just going back where is really kind of came from is an idea of a transparent act, which is to do with technological interaction and how I try to understand the relationship between the artist and the spectator, and how I arrive to a philosophical comprehension that the experience between the artist and the artwork is very much present in the experience between the artwork and the spectator, and how actually immersion and the immersive aspect is highly important. And participation is an important word, because that's what I actually then took forward, and then I created a so-called experiential art manifesto, which I see as a reflective process which I always adjust based on my thought processes, and is so dynamic that I'm constantly looking for new solutions. And I just took out some of the aspect what experiential art means, and why I'm bringing this to you, because this is nothing to do necessarily with having technology as part of the artwork, but is all to do with reflecting on technology, and this can be technological or non-technological. So it's creating unorthodox experiences. And one of the new things, actually, I just adding today to this, to my website, that experiential art constantly reflects on its own participatory format. It evaluates the human-machine relationship and facilitates novel ways of participation. So this means that this new piece I created is that non-technological participation happens with a critical comprehension of technological participatory format. And why this is important, because we're talking about here to documenting artworks, to maintaining it for the future. So it's very important aspect that not just the technology is maintained, but it's actually the experience which we try to capture, and the experience which we try to conserve for the future. And that's why the experiential art aspect is very important, because we're talking about experiences now, not about objects. So that, and the object is obviously part of the experience, but is not the main aspect. So I just would like to close with thank you for Miklos to including me into this very wise summary about that web, and hopefully you can experience the piece in full, and thank you again for having me here.